What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I want to tell you about King. I want to tell you about the King leader from OB08 and how this card, this deck, is doing pretty gosh darn well over in Japan. I'm starting to see some winning lists popping up all around, and I'm not saying that the list I'm going to show you in this video is the absolute perfect list or anything silly like that. But I absolutely am telling you that this is a good deck, and I'm going to give you a nice example list here, and I'm going to explain how the deck works. And frankly, this is a very, very fun deck. It's one of those ones that looked like it had a huge amount of potential, and everything that I'm seeing coming out of Japan right now is showing us that that potential is being realized, which is awesome. So starting off with the leader then, again, the leader is a very, very nice card. It's one of those ones that immediately kind of stood out. Maybe not as much as a couple of the other leaders in the set, but certainly worth getting excited about. And what we've got here is a rather lovely skill, whereby activate main once per turn, Don -2. Don't worry about that, we've got ways around the Don minus. And you get to do one of the following. If you've got 5 or fewer cards in hand, draw a card. Or give one of your opponent's characters -2 cost for the turn. It is a purple-black deck after all. Lowering cost is a kind of thing that they do. Okay, sounds like a plan. Now what? Where do we go from here? Well, we've got ourselves the new 1-cost Sasaki. Now, as a nice little bonus, this has got counter +2k, which is nice. But activate main, you may rest one of your Don and this character to give one of your opponent's characters -2 cost for the turn. So we're doubling down on the cost reduction, which is rather nice. And actually, while we're here, we've also got the Suru from OP02, which on play gives one of your opponent's characters -2 cost for the turn, and also has counter +2k for what it's worth. And all of a sudden, we are really going pretty heavy into reducing cost. We've then got the new Queen, 1-cost character, and on play, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, find an Animal Kingdom Pirates other than Queen, put it into your hand, put the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. It's not fancy, it is your generic searcher, but we need our generic searchers. Our generic searchers mean that we actually, get our characters out. It means we get our cards into play. This is a very, very good thing. Now, we then have a couple copies of Shiki. This is a Shiki from OP06, which is rather nice. And this is the one that's got blocker. And let's face it, you always need some blockers in your deck. But also on play, if you've got 8 or more Don on your field, draw a card, trash a card from your hand. That is going to combo very nicely with another card I'm just about to show you, Black Maria. This new Black Maria is absolutely absurd. It's the one I've been talking about since the moment it was revealed. It's the one that's got an activate main once per turn. If you don't have any other Black Maria in play, you add up to 5 Don cards from your Don deck rested. And sure, at the end of your turn, you've got to put Don back until you've got the same number or less than your opponent, but you're using a lot of Don minor skills. So a lot of the time, including on your leader, so a lot of the time you're going to have a lot less Don than your opponent, so you can use Black Maria to put Don out and you don't have to put it back. You've got stuff like the Shiki I just showed you, where if you've got 3 Don, then you can use Black Maria, go up to 8 Don, and then Shiki's skill will activate to let you draw 1, trash 1, and even though you've got to put the Don back at the end of your turn, you've still got to activate Shiki's skill while you're here. Black Maria is just phenomenal, especially for those turns where you're using your Don minor skills, and you've both got 10 Don, but you go down to 5. Black Maria will then just put you straight back up to 10, which is absolutely, utterly absurd. One of the most ridiculous skills we've ever seen in the history of the game, and I'm not exaggerating. Now, we've also got a couple copies of the new Charlotte Pudding. This is the one where on your turn, once per turn, when a Don card is returned to your Don deck, you add a Don from your Don deck rested. Yes, this will activate with Black Maria's skill, so you put Don out with Black Maria, you have to put it back again, but actually it's not the end of the world, because Charlotte Pudding will then kind of immediately bring it straight back out again. It's kind of ridiculous. Now, we've also got ourselves a couple of copies of Hitakiri Kamazo. This is the one from OP06 you might have seen popping up in a couple of decks. Counter plus 2,000, very, very nice. And on your turn, once per turn, when a Don card on your field is returned to your Don deck, again, will activate with Black Maria. Up to one of your opponent's characters of a cost of 2 or less, you get to KO. But remember, I've already shown you a bunch of cost reduction skills, including on your leader, which is also a Don Minor skill, so you lower your opponent's character's cost, while putting a Don card back into your deck, which will activate this skill, and yeah, the synergy here is very strong. If you're going to be putting Don cards back into your Don deck, you might as well be getting some benefit from doing so. Now, one of the things I really like about this deck is not only do you get Leader King, but there are a bunch of different Character Kings, like a couple copies of the 4-cost from OP08, or Arbol, I suppose, if you want to be a pedant. But come on, we all know what's going on here. And what we've got is an Activate main. You may place this character in your trash if your leader is an Animal Kingdom Pirates leader, which of course it is, and you've got 10 Don. Play a cost 7 or lower king from your hand. Yeah, that's kind of awesome. Again, I've just told you we're going to be playing a bunch of other king cards from One Piece. Now we've also got a card that can let you play the king for free. I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen. That just sounds like a very nice idea. Now, we've also got a playset of the Queen from Starter Deck 4 to go with a new Queen. Yeah, a bunch of Queen here as well. This one also shouldn't surprise you. This card is busted. It's a blocker, but on play, Don -1, draw 2, trash 1. But I've already shown you a couple of cards that have skills that activate when your Don goes back to your deck. It's just a no-brainer. I mean, in most purple decks, this is absolutely ridiculous. But in this deck, it has even more synergy than normal. Not that you needed more synergy, because it is ridiculous regardless. And then we got one copy of the new Who's Who, just a one. But it's counter plus 2k, which is good. And on play, lets you discard a card from your hand and KO an opponent's character with a cost of 3 or less. As a trigger, it also KOs a character with a cost of 3 or less. Remember, whenever we're KOing characters with a particular cost, remember we got a bunch of cost reduction skills, including on our leader. So when you're playing this and KOing a free cost, it's not always necessarily a free cost. We can do a lot better. Not much space for more than one, but it's still nice to see it. Now, speaking of all of those different king cards, we've also got ourselves a couple of copies of the slightly older king, the one from Starter Deck 4. On play, Don -1, and you KO up to one of your opponent's characters of a cost of 4 or less. But again, we've talked about this, right? We're playing cost reduction skills. We're playing skills that can take advantage of putting Don back into your deck, and this is why the deck works so well as a purple and black deck. Because you want to be lowering costs, black do that well, because you don't mind putting Don back into your deck, and actually a lot of the time you want to, which purple do well, and it all adds up absolutely beautifully. This works very nicely. Now we then have one copy of the new king, that is a king from OP08, the 7-cost, because I've already shown you the 4-cost quote-unquote king. And what we got here is on play, Don -1. If your opponent's got 5 or more Don on the field, you gain Rush. Yeah, this is kind of awesome. You haven't got space to play too many of these, but having a decent power character with Rush at the same time, and again, we've got the Arbol, which will play it for free. And it's a 7-cost or less, which, oh look, this is a 7-cost. And we've got the Queen, which will search out your Animal Kingdom pirates, and it all adds up rather nicely. And then we've got the new Jack. Now, the new Jack's got a skill that gives it essentially an 11-cost when it's on the field, which, it's good protection against cost reduction skills. It's not doing much else in this deck in terms of that skill, but it is still good protection against any Don minor skills your opponent might be bringing out. But activate main, you may rest this character, draw 1, trash 1, and KO an opponent's character with a cost of 3 or less. Again, cost reduction skills make this way better. And then we get the big boys, and this is a deck which is fine playing a bunch of bigger cards. We've got the Gecko Moria. Now, this is the one from OP06 that since the second it dropped in Japan and in the West has been absolutely nuts. On play, you choose a character of a cost of 4 or less and a character of a cost of 2 or less. One gets played rested. We've got enough lower cost characters here that this is going to work very nicely. We've got the new Kaido. I like Kaido. Kaido's cool. And this new Kaido is very cool as well. What we've got is activate main once per turn, trash a card from your hand, and if this character is played this turn, trash a 7 cost or lower character, and then your opponent trashes a card from their hand. Remember, when you trash a character, it's way better than KOing them, because when they get KO'd, on KO skills activate. When they get trashed, they don't. This is just really nice disruption. And because we're purple-black as well as Kaido, we can also play the new Big Mum as well. Another big body on the board. On play, Don -1, trash a card from your hand. You add 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life. Then place one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less to the top or bottom of their life. Yeah, sure, they get an extra life, which is not ideal, but you get one of their characters off the board, which absolutely is ideal. And then we got Kazan. The 10 cost Secret Rare Kazan from way back in OPO2. On your turn, all your opponent's characters get -5 cost, and on play, you get to KO a 0 cost. This is ridiculous. Way back in OPO2, I thought this was going to be the card that unlocked black decks, and although they don't all take super advantage of it, this deck is just an absolute no-brainer. Because, of course, I've shown you all the skills we've got which KO a character with a cost of X or less. This gives a permanent -5 to everyone. It is an absolute no-brainer. This card is ridiculous. Now, obviously, we're playing a full 4 copies of Onigashima Island, and you're also probably going to mulligan to get Onigashima Island. It's way back to OPO1 Kaido. Rest this stage. If your leader is Animal Kingdom Pirates, add a Don card from your Don deck rested. Lets you ramp an extra Don per turn. It's absolutely absurd. Not only do you need this card, but you really need it in your opening hand so you can be playing it from turn 2 onwards. It is very, very important. And then we got ourselves a new event card, Hakai. This is a 6 cost card, Don -2. If your leader's type has Animal Kingdom Pirates or Big Mum, KO 2 of your opponent's 6 cost or lower characters. Yes, a 6 cost event is very expensive, no argument there, but the fact of the matter is, we're KOing 2 characters here. That is absolutely worth it. And then on the other end of the cost spectrum for event cards, we're playing a couple of We're Going to Claim the One Piece, 1 cost card, and it does the same thing as the trigger that it does as a main. If your leader is Animal Kingdom Pirates or Big Mum, look at 5 cards on the top of your deck, find an Animal Kingdom Pirates or Big Mum Pirates card, and add it to your hand. It's just another searcher. It's another way to get some of your cards out, and that sounds absolutely fine by me. This is, look at the deck list first of all. This is not an easy deck list to figure out. You need to be very good at recognizing cards by the left-hand sliver. Luckily, we are, so we're good. But this is a deck that I have absolutely got my eye on. It ramps up to some big characters, but it's got a lot of board removal. And then when you get those big characters out, oh, the game starts going very nicely for you indeed. This is a deck I'm going to be playing around with a bunch when OPO8 comes out. And now when it does, you've got yourself a decent list with which to start. But now it's over to you guys. Do you like this deck? Do you think it's going to be great? Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at Lawasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.